Hey everyone, welcome to this SC-900 Microsoft Certified Security, Compliance and Identity Fundamentals video. If you want to become a cybersecurity champion, then follow me till the end of this video. I will take you to the world of Microsoft Security, Compliance and Identity. In this fast-paced course, I will cover everything from the basics of security concepts to the intricacies of Microsoft's comprehensive security solutions. I have kept the duration of this course short and sweet by explaining each topic precisely and have avoided providing you the overwhelming information. I have created detailed videos on these topics with demonstrations and provided you the link in the description of this video. Let's get started and become security experts together. My name is Navneet Kumar. I'm a Microsoft certified trainer and the founder of TrainCrest Technologies. The objective of this video is to cover the official SC-900 training program, which has 4 learning paths. Learning path number 1 is about describing the concepts of security, compliance, and identity. Learning path 2 is describe the capabilities of Microsoft Entra. Learning path 3 is describing the capabilities of Microsoft Security Solutions. And learning path 4 is about describing the capabilities of Microsoft Compliance Solutions. Well, let's get started with learning path 1, which is about describing the concepts of security, compliance, and identity. First, I will talk about the security and compliance related concepts like shared responsibility model. Then I will talk about the identity related concepts that covers the authentication and authorization, best practices, federation, and so on. Think shared responsibility model as a house with a sturdy foundation that is laid by Microsoft and you as a tenant furnishing the interior. Microsoft handles the security and reliability of this building while you manage the data within it. This is the shared responsibility model in Azure, where Microsoft ensures the cloud's infrastructure and you manage your applications, identities, and the data. If you look at this picture over here, the bottom 3 parts for the shared responsibility model is always the responsibility of the provider, Microsoft. That includes the physical data center, network, and physical host, regardless which deployment model you use, be it SaaS, PaaS, or IaaS. In case of on-premises, it is completely your responsibility to secure everything from physical data center till information and data. But you will see that the top 3 responsibilities are transferred to the tenants, which is you actually as a tenant, and you are responsible for securing the information, data, your endpoints, and the accounts and identities, regardless the service model you use. But the 4 layers in the center will vary. The responsibility is transferred between the provider and the tenant depending on the model that you use. For an instance, if you look at IaaS, infrastructure as a service, where we have to deploy the servers, then it is our responsibility to secure the operating systems of these servers. The virtual networks that we deploy, the overlay networks that we deploy, it is our responsibility. We have to put the necessary NSGs, ASGs, DDoS protections on these networks. Application security, identity and directory infrastructure security responsibility is ours. Now, this responsibility provides you the more control. You have the control about the product and its security, whereas you also get the additional overhead when you have to manage these services. In PaaS, some of the responsibility is transferred to the provider. In terms of PaaS, we do not deploy the servers, so the underlying operating system is managed by Microsoft. And then the other 3 layers, the network control, application, and identity and directory infrastructure is shared among the Microsoft and the tenants. Then in SaaS model, where we consume the application, we just consume the application, we sign up and use that rather than developing or hosting or managing it. So we use the SaaS applications like Dynamics 365 or Office 365 applications. So this responsibility is further transferred to Microsoft in terms of operating system, network, or application. Then we are responsible to secure the top three, and then the identity and directory infrastructure is shared. This is the shared responsibility model that defines that who is responsible to secure what. So this is very important to understand that the security responsibility is defining that who is responsible to secure what, and you need to ensure that you have enough technical bandwidth, you have enough security skills to secure your applications. That is what we are going to cover in this course. Talking about defense in depth, which is a security strategy that employs multiple layers of protection to defend against the cyber attacks. Defense in depth uses a layered approach, and these layers are physical security that limits the access to the data centers to only authorized personnel, be it the fencing of the data center, the biometric authentication, or the necessary security guards and the CCTVs and the two-factor authentications, three-factor authentications that you implement, and different ISO standards to secure your data centers. This defense in depth architecture I'm discussing in general in security. It has nothing to do with the cloud only. For an instance, physical security, here it is the responsibility of Microsoft. So we are not responsible, but we are discussing this, that okay, what physical security is. Then identity and access security, that controls the access to the infrastructure and change control, that who can do what. So delegation of control is done. Perimeter security is very important to secure your network from the external attackers. So DDoS attacks can be protected. You can protect it from those kind of attacks. Network security, that limits the communication between the resources. You do the segmentation of this network with the help of the layer 3, that is subnetting, or with layer 2, which is with the help of VLAN. You do this segmentation of your network. Compute layer security, that includes your virtual machines or the physical machines, their patching and security. Application layer security, it ensures the applications are secure and free of security vulnerabilities. Data layer security, that controls the access to the business and customers' data and use encryption to protect this data. Talking about confidentiality, integrity, and availability, the three pillars, important pillars for security, are the fundamental pillars of the information security, you can say. They ensure that the data is protected from unauthorized access and it remains accurate and unaltered. And also, it is accessible whenever it is required. In this CIA, the goal of the cybersecurity strategy is confidentiality, number one, that ensures the sensitivity of the data. Your sensitive data is secured, it is confidential, it is encrypted, such as information remains confidential. Integrity, ensuring data or messages have not been tampered. And availability refers to making data available to those who need it. If I talk about zero trust model, so the zero trust is very popular today, and you must have overcome or you must have heard about this term. Zero trust is a security model that assumes that any device or user attempting to access a network or system is potentially hostile until proven otherwise. That means that you will validate each incoming request. This approach shifts the traditional perimeter based security model that we were using in past to the more granular and user and device centric approach. In Zero Trust, we have three guided principles. Number one, verify explicitly. Each incoming request to access the enterprise applications or data will be verified explicitly, will be validated on all the available data points, be it the operating system, be it the location of the user where from the data or application is going to be accessed. Then least privileged access, provide the necessary access, provide the time bound access with tools like privileged identity management, and provide the necessary access only, so you can use just enough administration for that. Assume breach, you assume that there might be a breach of the data. 6 foundational pillars that are there as part of the zero trust model are identities, that may be the users, can be the software objects, the services, or can be the hardware objects like the devices. These identities can be assigned to any of these three: users, softwares, or to the devices. Devices create a large attack surface as data flows. These are your endpoints. Applications are the way that data is consumed. Data should be classified, labeled, and encrypted. Infrastructure, whether represents a threat vector. Network should be segmented. For external users, you will set up a DMZ network. For internal users, you will be having a private network protected with your private firewalls. Encryption is the process of converting the plain text data into ciphertext. Encryption ensures that the data is provided to the legitimate users only. Encryption is the process of making data unreadable and unusable to unauthorized viewers. Encryption of the data at rest, at transit, and when the data is in use is required. Two top-level types of encryptions are symmetric encryption and asymmetric encryption. Symmetric encryption uses the same key to encrypt and decrypt the data, whereas in asymmetric encryption, there is a key pair of public and private key. These keys are mathematically calculated. If you encrypt the data using the public key, then it can only be decrypted by the private key. Not even that same public key can be used. And if the data has been encrypted using the private key, then it can only be decrypted by the public key. This public key is distributed in the PKI network with everyone, whomsoever is going to access the data, whereas the private key remains to the entity which is the author of that data or the owner of that data. Talking about hashing, it is actually a cryptographic function that takes an input, that is often referred to as a message or a data, and produces a fixed size output known as the hash value or digest. Hashing uses an algorithm to convert this original text to a unique fixed length hash value, and hash functions are deterministic. The same input produces the same output, a unique identifier of its associated data, different to encryption in that the hashed value isn't subsequently decrypted back to the original. Used to store passwords, the password is salted to mitigate risk of brute force dictionary attacks. There are many use cases of this hashing. We use it for digital signing of the applications, scripts, or the emails, and for many other uses we can use it. If I talk about GRC, the governance, compliance, and risk, it's a framework that is used to manage and assess an organization's governance, risk management, and compliance efforts. Governance refers to the overall management and control of an organization, including its policies, procedures, and the decision-making processes. Risk refers to the potential for negative consequences to occur. Risk management involves identifying, assessing, mitigating risks to protect the organization's assets and the reputation. If I talk about compliance, the compliance refers to adhering to laws, regulatory conditions, and the industry standards. It ensures that an organization is operating legally and ethically. In this topic, I will talk about the security and compliance related concepts. First, I will talk about the difference between authentication and authorization. Authentication is the process of checking that who you are. Then only the access is granted to you. This authentication can be single factor authentication using your username password, or two factor authentication that you possess something like a one time password or a verification code, or you have an authenticator app through which you can authenticate through a notification, or the third factor authentication through which you can prove who you are with the help of biometric authentications, be it thumbprint impression or retina scan, facial recognition. So those are the biometric authentications. Overall, the authentication is the process of validating that whether you are someone whom you are pretending to or not. It mitigates the chances of the identity impersonation. Next is authorization. In authorization, it is checked that what level of access you have, whether you are in the access control list, whether you have been granted access to the applications and data or not. If yes, then what level of access has been granted to you. That is known as authorization. Next is identity as the primary security parameter. In today's digital landscape, the traditional network parameter has become less effective as organizations has increasingly adopted the cloud-based services and the remote work. People are working remotely. That is why the perimeter security or network perimeter security has become less effective. Identity has become a new security parameter that enables organizations to secure their assets, and an identity which can be used to authenticate and authorize someone or something may be associated with a user, with a software object, or with a device, a hardware. Four pillars of an identity infrastructure are administration, authentication, authorization, and auditing. Modern authentication is a set of security protocols and standards that provide a more secure and user friendly way for individuals to authenticate to applications and the services to access. This modern authentication is an umbrella term we can use for authentication and authorization methods between the client and the server. At the center of modern authentication is the role of identity, the identity provider. The identity provider offers the authentication, authorization, and auditing services. For an instance, in the cloud, we have Entra ID, which acts as the identity provider. IDP enables organizations to establish authentication and authorization policies, monitor user behavior, and more. A fundamental capability of the IDP and modern authentication is the support for the single sign-on. You can access different applications or services using a single account. Microsoft Azure Active Directory, which was formerly known as Azure Active Directory, today referred as Entra ID, is an example of cloud-based identity provider. I have especially written this term over here as Azure Active Directory because many of us still use this term, though this has been rebranded under the Entra. If I talk about the concept of a directory service, A directory is a hierarchical structure that stores the information about objects on the network. But in case of Entra ID, this is different. The Entra ID is a flat structure directory. Overall, the directory stores the objects and its attributes. A directory service stores directory data and makes it available to the network users, administrators, services, and the applications. The best known service for this kind, Active Directory Domain Service, a central component in organizations that we use for AAA for authentication, authorization, and auditing. Microsoft Entra ID is the evolution of identity and access management solution, providing organizations with an identity as a service solution for all their apps across cloud and on-premises. If I talk about the concept of federation, the federation is actually used in the context of identity and access management that refers to a system where multiple organizations can share identity information and they can allow their users to access resources across different domains. That offers the single sign-on or a B2B federation between two businesses. As you see in this example, domain A and domain B are sharing the resources with each other with the help of this federation. This federation is a simplified way to think about federation with the help of, let's say, a website is there that uses the authentication services of identity provider, that is the domain A that provides the identity, whereas the resource provider is the domain B. The user authenticates and with the identity provider B, and IDP A has a trust relationship configured with IDP B, and when the user signs into the website, it can trust the user's credentials and allow the access. So basically this B identity provider is just providing the identity and the website is hosted in the domain A, and excuse me about the statement that I made earlier. So website is actually in the domain A. So domain A is the resource provider and as well as the identity provider in this case. So local identities of this domain A can access this website, but the identities from the domain B also can access this website because the federation has been done between the two organizations and two domains. Next learning path is about describe the capabilities of Microsoft Entra ID. In this, I will talk about the function and identity types in Entra ID, describe the authentication capabilities of the Entra ID, describe the access management capabilities of Entra ID, describe the identity protection and governance capabilities of Microsoft Entra. Microsoft Entra ID is a cloud-based service. It provides the authentication services, it protects the cloud applications, and provides the single sign-on for different types of applications. Organizations can enable their employees, guests, and others to sign in and access the resources they need. You can provide a single identity system for their cloud or on-premises applications, protect user identities and credentials to meet the organization's access, governance, and requirements. Subscribers to Azure services, Microsoft 365, Dynamics 365 automatically have access to the Entra ID. Identity security score you can check to see the security posture of your identity. If I talk about identity types, these identities can be assigned to the human beings, which is for the users, which can be the internal users or the external users, or internal guests or the external guests. I have done a detailed video on managing the identities and I will share the link in the description. You can visit that video on the identity management. We can assign these identities to the workloads, the software objects. So these can be through the service principals or the managed identities, be it system assigned or user assigned. These identities are used to perform the non-interactive authentication because applications need to have access to the resources. Those applications are triggered or they run at a frequent interval and we need to provide them the non-interactive authentication process that we do with the help of service principals or service accounts. Next is devices. The devices can be the hardware devices, be it your IoT devices, Windows devices, mobile devices that you want to control and you want them to be registered in your identity service. Hybrid identity is a concept where you want to synchronize your identities from on-premises to the cloud. Suppose you have a data center where you already have thousands or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of users in your on-premises network. Now you are planning to use the cloud services or migrating to the cloud, and for that you require the cloud identities, cloud users. So rather than creating the identities in the cloud from scratch, you can synchronize them from the on-premises to the cloud. That you can do with the help of a tool called Entra ID Connect. I have done a detailed video on Entra Connect and how to synchronize these users. You will find the link in the description. Microsoft Entra ID External. This Entra ID External is a feature of the Microsoft Entra ID that allows you to manage and authenticate the external users. These users can be the guests, partners, or your customers. If you have a customer facing application and you want to allow the users to sign up and use their identities to access the resources, who need the access to your organization's resources, you can whomsoever requires that access, you can provide them the access to this external identity. Ways to securely interact with external users: you can do B2B collaboration, you can add the users as the guest, B2B direct connect, Microsoft Entra external ID for customers, or multi-tenant organizations, so we can have within the single organization multiple tenants. As I mentioned earlier that I have done a detailed video on the Entra and Entra related products. So I have done a detailed video about the Entra ID and its identity types as well. So what is B2B collaboration? How do we manage it? So that has been covered in managing the identities. You will find the link in the description of this video for more details. Authentication methods of Microsoft Entra. Number one, password. That is your username password, first factor authentication. That is something that you know. You can do phone based authentication through SMS or voice. OAuth. You can use the OAuth related authentication, secondary authentication. Standard for how one-time password codes are generated. And then we have passwordless authentications, which is in fact primary and secondary authentication method and is considered as the best option. As you see the image, that providing a passwordless authentication can be a good solution. It results into the leakage. It results into the mitigation of or avoiding the leakage of your passwords. This passwordless authentication can be configured through Windows Hello, Microsoft Authenticator app you can use. You can use FIDO, which stands for Fast Identity Online. This FIDO is actually a set of standards that define a framework for strong, convenient, and phishing resistant authentications. So phishing attacks can be mitigated with this. FIDO2 is a promising technology and it has the potential to significantly improve the security and convenience of online authentications. This can be a hardware or software based. Certificates, we have the certificate based authentications also available. If I talk about multi-factor authentication, it includes the second factor and third factor. It dramatically improves the security of the identity while still being simple for users. MFA requires more than one form of verification. Something you know is your first factor, that is your username password. Something you have, that is your second factor, that is your OTP or the authentication notification you get in your authenticator app. Something you are, that you prove with the biometric authentications like I mentioned earlier. So with thumbprint, retina scan, facial recognitions, those are the options. Security defaults. requires all users to complete the MFA as needed. You will notice that on Microsoft Entra tenant, this security default is by default enabled for the baseline security to be provided to the organizations. In case you want to disable it, you can disable and define your own security policies. Force administrators to use MFA and enforces MFA for all the users. So administrators will have to do the MFA and enforces MFA for all the users. Self-service password reset is a feature of Entra ID that lets the end users reset their password at their own when they forget their passwords. Today, it is very common that users forget their passwords because they have to maintain different applications for which they have different username passwords, and it is very common, very often it happens that the users forget their password and then they have to raise the support desk request. That impacts the productivity because the user will not be able to access the applications or data to work. And also for the administrators, it's an additional overhead that they will have to reset the accounts. I have seen organizations having a particular person for doing this job, and that job is to just reset the passwords of the users to recover their accounts. We can automate this with the self-service password reset. We can provide a second factor authentication for the users, or an alternative like an alternate email ID or the authenticator app, or through the security questions. We can do that. I have done a dedicated video on self-service password reset with a demonstration. Do watch that if you're interested into this feature of Entra ID. Password protection and management reduces the risk of user settings weak passwords that are commonly known, like QWERTY or based on your company name. So what you can do is you can, it uses by default the global banned password list. You cannot use those passwords for your identities. That is not exposed to you. You don't see that. But what you can do is you can create custom banned password list where you can put your own passwords for your users to not use them. Protecting against password spray attacks, integrate with on-premises Active Directory environment. I have done a detailed video on password protection. Do watch the video for a live demonstration on this. Conditional access policies are actually the if-then policies that sit between the applications and the users. If users comply with the conditions, these conditions are the signals. They are signals like the user's geolocation, the network, the device is compliant as per the Intune policies or mobile device management policies or not. If user comply with those policies and is compliant, then only will be given access to the cloud applications. This decision is made automatically. This can be based on the user risk, sign-in risk as well. And if the user is not compliant, then the user will not be granted access to the applications, or may be granted access with the second factor or multi-factor authentication. So it is up to you that how you have controlled the access to the cloud applications. So you choose which application you want to protect, for which identity you want to apply this, you for particular users or groups you want to apply it, and then you enforce this policy to your users. I have also done a detailed video on conditional access policy. You will find the link in the description. Please do watch that video in case you are interested in learning the conditional access policy. Microsoft Entra roles and role-based access control. This is used for delegation of control. With Entra roles, we have many built-in roles. We can create our custom roles also if these built-in roles do not suffice the need of business. It is advised to use the built-in roles wherever they suffice the need, or else create custom roles. Creating the custom roles can put your services or data at stake if you create a role with incorrect permissions. So you need to be very careful while creating these custom roles, and then you can use them to delegate the access to the individuals or the groups or the service principals. Only grant the access users need. Follow the principle of least privilege method. So provide them the only access that they need, limited access. Identity governance in Microsoft Entra is a feature that is used to enhance the security of your identities. The right people have the right access to the right resources that you ensure with this. We have different services under it that we will discuss one by one. The task of the Microsoft Entra ID governance is to govern the identity lifecycle, govern access lifecycle, secure the privileged access for administration. Identity lifecycle: join, a new digital identity is created, move, update access authorizations, leave, access may need to be removed. So these are the different phases, and for these phases we have the automated workflows. For an instance, we can do an access review. In access review, we can review the access of the users on annual basis or semi-annual, quarterly, monthly, weekly. We can do that, and based on this access review we decide that whether the users still need the access for a particular application or resource or not. If they do not need that, then this access need to be revoked. Entitlement management is a feature where we provision everything, including the groups for the users, the teams or the cloud applications that they need to access, the roles they need. We put everything into a package and we prepare this package for the users when they join the organization. So they have been provided that package so that the very first day they have the necessary access and the resources that they need to do their job. So this helps into improving the productivity. Usually what happens is that if you do not use such features like entitlement management, then the users will later realize that, okay, you need this, I need the access to this particular application to do my job. Now I need to request it. First of all, I will look for that, okay, who will provide me this, be it my boss or someone else who will be granting me the access. Then this procurement process may be time consuming. It may take a day or a week, and till then you will be non-productive. So this can result into lack of productivity if your users are not given the necessary resources and access immediately. So that is what the problem can be solved with entitlement management, an identity governance feature that enables organizations to manage identity and access lifecycle at scale. It automates access request workflow, access assignments, reviews, and expiration. Terms of use we can define: allow information to be presented to users before they access data or an application. Ensure users read relevant disclaimers for legal or compliance requirements. I have done a detailed video on entitlement management. The link is in the description. Please do watch that video for more details about the entitlement management. Privileged identity management is the process of providing the time-bound access to the users. It is also known as JIT, just in time, or it is referred as the time-bound access, where we provide the users access for a particular time, not actively or permanently assigning that access. Which means that if you have some contractors, external users that you need to give them the access, so you can give them as per the duration of the contract, so that the role has been expired, their access has been expired as soon as this contract reaches its end. This is what we can do with PIM, and we can enable the approval based workflow. That means that if user wants to activate the role that the role has been assigned or user is eligible for, then it will trigger a multi-factor authentication. That helps into mitigating the chances of compromised identities. In case if your identity has been compromised, the attacker will not be able to do anything with that, because the roles assigned to that identity are on eligible basis, they are not actively assigned. That means the user will have to activate them, and upon activation a workflow will trigger, and that will trigger a multi-factor authentication or maybe approval from the manager that will be required, and all that is also audited, so you have the full access to this trail logs or audit logs. So this is the power of PIM. I have done a detailed video with the live examples of the privileged identity management. Do watch the video. Link is in the description. Microsoft Entra Identity Protection is a machine learning based feature. It detects the unusual authentication patterns. If user was logging in from a particular geolocation and then suddenly the geolocation of the user changes, so it is detected as a risk because user has never logged in past from that location, or maybe it is too quick that it is not possible to travel to that location. So it can be a kind of risk. It can be detected as a risk, and the identity protection feature will flag the user at risk, and then based on this flag, low, medium or high, you can take the control. This control can be whether you can block the access or maybe allow the access but with MFA. So you can control this in an automated way leveraging this machine learning based feature. I have done a detailed video with the examples on this Microsoft Entra Identity Protection as well. Do watch that video and have a look to the live example of this machine learning based feature in action to detect any suspicious activity or any unusual authentication activity. Link is in the description. We can do the permission management, comprehensive visibility and control over the permissions for any identity, any resource in Microsoft Azure, AWS or GCP. We discover, assess the permissions risks by evaluating the gap between the permissions granted and permissions used. Remediate, right size permissions based on usage, grant permissions on demand. Monitor, detect anomalies or anomalous activities with machine learning powered alerts and generated detailed forensic reports. Microsoft Entra Verified ID is a powerful user. It actually is not only powerful but flexible identity and access management solution that can help the organizations to improve their security, productivity, and compliance by verifying the identity and then providing access to the verified identities only. Why we need it? Online transactions often require users to make claims that can be digitally verified. Users want to control how and when their digital identities are used and shared. That is what we can do with this. How it works: issuers attest to claims and grants digitally signed credentials to the users. Credential metadata is stored in data registry. User receives and digitally signs the credentials is stored in the managed in the user's digital wallet. User presents credentials to the verifier as needed, then verifier verifies the claims through the data registry. So based on this data or metadata, this user's identity is verified. This next learning path is about describing the capabilities of Microsoft security solutions, where I'll talk about the security services in Azure, the management capabilities of Azure, the SIEM and SOAR tool, which is Microsoft Sentinel, and the Defender XDR. The first security service that I'm going to talk about is the security of your network, the perimeter security, when you go with infrastructure as a service and you deploy your virtual networks. So DDoS attacks are very common. These threats can disrupt your services and impact your business. This stands for distributed denial of service attack, where the different bots or different nodes are used to send the frequent requests to the servers and without listening to the response. So it makes the server unresponsive. Azure DDoS protection is a comprehensive service that is designed to mitigate these DDoS attacks against your Azure resources. I have done a detailed video on Azure DDoS protection, how it is applied, and in fact, I have shown you a live demo on DDoS, making a DDoS attack on the Azure network, and then checking the functionality and the alerting system of the DDoS, that how it can alert and mitigate from those DDoS attacks. If you want to see that live demo on DDoS protection of Microsoft Azure, do watch the video. Link is in the description. Azure Firewall is actually used to inspect the incoming or outgoing traffic. It can be used to allow or deny the rules based on the applications. Maybe I want to allow one application but not the other. I can use it for netting purpose as well, for source netting or destination netting. So it can translate the private to public or public to private IPs. There are many other key capabilities of this. It has the threat intelligence feature of it. So we can leverage this Azure Firewall to protect our virtual networks from external attackers. We can inspect all that traffic that is coming into the network or the traffic that is leaving our network to the internet. So we can inspect that before it goes out. This is a managed service, managed cloud service offered by Microsoft Azure. I have done a detailed video on Microsoft Azure Firewall. Please do watch that video. Link is there in the description. Web application firewalls sit between the firewall between the users and the applications. It protects your applications from layer 7 attacks, the application attacks like cross-site scripting, SQL injection attacks. So those different kind of attacks can be mitigated by defining these WAF policies. It in short, if I explain it, it acts as a filter. It inspects the incoming web traffic for malicious requests and blocking them before they can reach the application. Network segmentation and the Azure Virtual Network. So Azure Virtual Network is your logical network representation in the cloud for your servers. It is the overlay network. The underlay network is Microsoft's physical data center network. And this traffic of your network, virtual network, is routed to the physical network of Microsoft. And this virtual network can be segmented with the help of subnets. I can do subnetting in a virtual network. Microsegmentation of your network helps you to provide the different routing policies or the security policies like the NSG rules for your different subnets based on your application tiers that you use. You also can peer the two networks together if you have them in the same region or across the regions or in the same tenant or across tenants. I have done detailed videos on Azure Virtual Network and the peering of virtual networks, be it within the same region, across the regions, or across the tenants also for mergers and acquisitions use cases. So links are available in the description of this video. Do watch those videos in case you want to do a detailed study about the virtual networks. Network security groups in Azure are used to protect your networks. These NSGs are nothing but the access control lists that you apply on your virtual network subnets or the NIC for filtering the incoming or outgoing traffic. So we have inbound and outbound rules. We can allow or deny the traffic. We have the priority that we set for these NSG rules that we create. We can put the NSGs at the subnet level and at the NIC level. For defense in depth, we create one NSG for the subnet and the other one at the NIC level so that we have two-layer protection. If you want to allow anything, that you need to create that allow rule in both of the NSGs. I have done a detailed video on NSG, how to create and implement these NSGs in Azure. Link is in the description. Secure remote access to virtual machines through Azure Bastion. Azure Bastion allows you to access your Windows or Linux virtual machines without exposing them to the internet. That means that you can keep the virtual machines with the private IP. This Azure Bastion is a cloud service that acts as a jump server, and this reduces the overhead of protecting your jump servers or hardening the jump servers and the virtual machines in your network. It has its key features like secure connectivity. It provides for the RDP or SSH for Windows and Linux respectively, traverses the corporate firewall securely. No public IP is required on the Azure virtual machines because this Bastion will have a public IP on it. No need to manage the NSGs in this because it's a cloud-based service, so it's already been protected. Protection against port scanning and protects against zero-day exploits. Well, I have done a detailed video and a comparison of different tiers of the Bastion that are available. with live example of accessing the machines in Azure through the Azure Bastion service. Link is in the description. Please do watch that video. Azure Key Vault is a key management service in cloud. In fact, in AWS, it's known as KMS, Key Management Service. This is actually used to store the secrets. These secrets can be the passwords, the database connection strings, can be the cryptographic keys, can be the certificates. You can securely store them. You can think of it as your HSM, the hardware security module. In fact, we have HSM backed key vaults available in Azure. So we can store our data. I mean, the data that is going to protect our data. So this data can be like certificates, the digital files we have, or the secrets or the cryptographic keys. And then we can integrate this key vault with our Azure services, and we can securely access the keys from there and use them or provide them to the developers. So rather than exposing the keys into the code or into a document somewhere, we can keep them in the vault and we can securely access them through the APIs. There is a detailed video on Key Vault I have done. The link is in the description. Please do watch that video if you need more details about the Key Vault and how to work with this. Next service is Microsoft Defender for Cloud. This provides the advanced threat protection, vulnerability management, and compliance monitoring for your cloud workloads. It helps in increasing the cloud security posture of your workloads running in Azure. As you see, the first key feature of this is cloud security posture management. Surfaces actions that you can take to prevent breaches. You can act on those recommendations provided by Defender for Cloud and improve your security score. Cloud Workload Protection platform, it not only does that security posture management but also does the workload protection as well. So it's specific protection for the servers, containers, databases, storage we can do with the help of this. Development security operations, we also can use it into the rugged DevOps, or also known as DevSecOps, where we include the security also to automate the development and operations related tasks. So we have Dev, Sec, and Ops lifecycle. In this, we unify the security management at the code level across multi-cloud and multiple pipeline environments. For an instance, I want to scan that in any code the developer has not left any credential or secrets inside that, so that I can scan with the help of it and can report it, or can alert the administrators, security engineers. Describe how security policies and initiatives work. Security policies are actually the initiatives that we create. Policies are definitions where we define that, okay, what can you do in Azure, what you cannot do, and they are applicable to everyone at the scope we assign them. So these policies are JSON based policies. They have the conditions in them to protect the access, or for the resource governance, I can say. Now these policies are put into a container, logical container, that is known as initiative, so that we need not to assign one policy at a time, because assigning one policy at a time can be a very challenging job. Think of this initiative or security initiative, policy initiative, as GPO, group policy object, which is a collection of different group policy definitions. So here we have multiple policies stored into one logical container, and that we can assign. We create these initiatives to meet specific regulatory standards like PCI DSS standards, ISO, NIST, UK officials, HIPAA, High Trust, many different standards. So based on that, you can create it. We have Microsoft Cloud Security Benchmark as well. So with the help of this Microsoft Cloud Security Benchmark, we can use the default security initiatives for applying the default security policies. It provides the best practices and recommendations to improve the security of the workloads, data, and services in the Azure and other clouds with the help of it. Microsoft Defender for Cloud continually assesses your environment against the MCSB and other security initiatives that you apply on it. I have done a detailed video on the Microsoft Azure policies. I will put the link in the description. Please do watch that video in case you want to learn more about the Azure policies and initiatives and how to deal with them. Cloud security posture management. The cloud security posture management is used to show you the score of your workloads running, that how secure it is, and it can help you improving the security posture of your workloads running in cloud with the help of the recommendations that you see below. Like you can achieve 10%, you can achieve 6 points that will improve your security score by 10% if you remediate some vulnerabilities that have been found in some resources. 171 out of 219 resources are unhealthy based on this policy. So it will continually assess and will show you the score. Then it will give you the recommendations. You take action on those recommendations and you resolve those problems and improve your security score. So this is cloud security posture management. Workload protection, cloud workload protection platform, CWPP. This cloud workload protection platform has the key features like endpoint detection and response, vulnerability scanning, multi-cloud security, hybrid security, threat protection alerts, access and application control. So such features we get with the cloud workload protection platform. Development security operations. This empowers the security teams to manage the DevOps security across multi-pipeline environments. When you use multi-pipelines to build your applications, you can include these security operations into your DevOps pipelines. Unified visibility into DevOps security posture, strengthening configurations of cloud resources in the development lifecycle, prioritize remediation of critical issues in the code. I am doing a series on the Azure DevOps, and you can watch that playlist at my channel. In case you have not subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe it so that you can get the notification to the latest videos that I do. Talking about SIEM and SOAR capabilities. So in case if I want to use security incident and event management capabilities and the orchestration to respond to these incidents across the organization. So as a SOAR capability, which stands for actually security orchestration automated response. So these SIEM and SOAR capabilities, SIEM is actually to collect the data through the different data connectors, and then detecting any threats based on the analytic rules that we define in it. And then SOAR stands for the automation, orchestration to respond to these incidents. So during the triage that we get those incidents, we want to mitigate the work or reduce the workload on our tier 1 teams that are going to handle these incidents to do the investigation, because there may be lots of repetitive incidents. So for that we can define the automation rules or the playbooks we call them, logic apps. Those automation workflows can automatically remediate from those incidents automatically. These SIEM and SOAR capabilities are available within one Microsoft cloud service that is referred as Microsoft Sentinel, formerly known as Azure Sentinel. What it does primarily 4 things. It collects the data from various sources, be it Microsoft or third party, through the agents, through the APIs. It can collect this data. Then it detects for the threats using the policies that you configure, the analytical rules that you configure using the custom query. Then it investigates for them. It allows you to do the investigation to connect the dots together, that what resources have been impacted with the attack, then responding to those incidents based on the logic apps that we have as playbooks. We have all these 4 capabilities of the Microsoft Sentinel, and this is Microsoft's native cloud service as a SIEM and SOAR solution. Your 70% of workload of managing the underlying infrastructure, the servers, storage for any SIEM SOAR tool can be reduced by using the Microsoft Sentinel. I have done a detailed video, not only a video but a entire series on Microsoft Sentinel do watch the videos on Sentinel. I will put the link of one of my video on that, which is getting started with Sentinel. That will help you to get a fair idea about the Sentinel, how it works, though the video is a little bit lengthy, almost 1 hour, and you will get a very good picture of Sentinel, how it works in cloud. Microsoft Security Copilot is a cloud-based security assistant that is designed to help organizations improve their security posture. What it does, it leverages the AI and machine learning model, that LLM model, large language model. It is developed on it. It has been trained on that to automate the security tasks, provides the insights, and assists the security teams in responding to the threats. So we can do the security posture management using the Copilot, delivers information on anything that might expose an organization to a known threat, provides prescriptive guidance on how to protect against those potential vulnerabilities. Incident response, it can quickly surface an incident and enrich it with context from other data sources, assesses scale and get instructions to begin remediation, security reporting, customizable reports that are ready to share and easy to consume. Microsoft Defender for Office 365 applications. This is actually a cloud service that is designed to protect your Microsoft 365 environment from threats such as malware, phishing attacks, or the spam. Microsoft Defender Endpoint is another cloud-based service, and this cloud-based service is used to provide the protection for your endpoints actually, and it does the advanced threat detection, investigation, or response capabilities it has to respond to these threats, okay, for your endpoints. And these endpoints can be the workstations, servers, mobile devices that it can protect. Microsoft Defender for Cloud Apps is a CASB solution, the Cloud App Security Broker service that sits between your cloud applications and the end users. And this Microsoft Defender for Cloud Apps is actually designed to protect your cloud applications based threats like data breaches, unauthorized access of the cloud applications, or any malicious activities detected, or any pattern anomaly has been detected to access the cloud applications. It provides a comprehensive view of your cloud applications usage, identifies any potential risks, and helps you take actions to mitigate these threats. Microsoft Defender for Identity is a cloud-based identity and access management solution to protect your identities. For an instance, you have Active Directory domain services running in on-premises. You can install the identity sensor, this agent, and this agent will collect the logs and then will send the traffic that is coming to these domain controllers in on-premises to the Microsoft Defender for Identity. Then this Microsoft Defender for Identity will apply those analytic rules and will result into the incidents that you can identify, investigate, and then you can mitigate them. So if you have on-premises identity services and you're looking for a solution to protect it, then you can use Microsoft Defender for Identity to detect any malicious activities happening within your network, because it is going to capture all those audit logs and it can correlate these logs. It has those analytical capabilities. It is going to use again that custom query, and then based on that it is going to detect or correlate any threat. Microsoft Defender Vulnerability Management is a cloud-based solution that helps organizations identifying, prioritizing, and remediating the vulnerabilities in the on-premises or in the cloud-based environments. It provides a comprehensive view of your security posture, allowing you to proactively address vulnerabilities before they can be exploited. Microsoft Defender Threat Intelligence or TI, sometime it is referred as, is a cloud-based service that provides organizations with actionable insights into the latest cyber threats. So it has access to those feeds through which it gets this access. It collects and analyzes threats data from various feeds, including the Microsoft's Global Threat Intelligence Network, and identifies the emerging threats and providing recommendations for mitigation from such threats. As the name suggests, it's a threat intelligence, so it's gonna get the intelligence about the current or past attacks. Microsoft Defender Portal is a centralized platform that provides a comprehensive view of your organization's security posture, and it can be integrated with various Microsoft security products that allows it to manage and monitor your security solutions from a single location through this Defender portal. The final learning path of this SC-900 course is describing the capabilities of Microsoft Compliance Solution. Microsoft Service Trust Portal. This Microsoft Service Trust Portal is a centralized platform that provides transparency and information about Microsoft's cloud services and their security practices, where Microsoft publishes all the reports, audit reports that have been done by the vendors, the white papers, and the artifacts. This helps in providing the transparency about the data that has been stored in the cloud about that. It serves as a resource for the customers and partners to learn about Microsoft's commitment for the security, compliance, and privacy of their data. Microsoft's privacy principles are control, number one. So, putting you, the customer, in control of your privacy with easy to use tools and clear choices. Number two is transparency, being transparent about data collection and use so that every one can make informed decisions. Security, protecting the data that's entrusted to Microsoft by using strong security and encryption. Number four is strong legal protection, respecting local privacy laws and fighting for legal protection of privacy as a fundamental human right. No content based targeting, not using emails, chat, files, or other personal content to target advertising. Benefits to you: when Microsoft does collect data, it's used to benefit you, the customer, and to make your experience better. Microsoft's Priva, or actually it's shortened for privacy. Microsoft Privacy is a comprehensive set of policies and practices that govern how Microsoft collects, uses, and protects your personal data. Microsoft is committed to ensuring that your privacy is respected and protected, and that you have control over your personal information, as I discussed in the previous slide. Microsoft Purview Compliance Portal. This portal is actually a centralized platform that provides organizations with a comprehensive view of their compliance posture across their Microsoft 365 environments. Compliance Manager shows you the report of the compliance. So it simplifies the compliance and reduces the risk by providing the pre-built assessment based on common standards, workflow capabilities to complete risk assessment, step-by-step improvement actions, compliance score that shows overall compliance posture. Key elements of Compliance Manager are controls, assessments, templates, and improvement actions. This is the compliance score. Benefits of using the compliance score is because it's a metric that is used for various compliance management platforms and frameworks. So it helps an organizations understand its current compliance posture, helps prioritize actions based on their potential to reduce the risk. Understand your compliance score, actions, you improve action, your improved actions, and Microsoft actions. Action types, an action subcategory can be there: mandatory, so preventive, detective, or corrective, and discretionary, this can be preventive, detective, or corrective. Know your data, protect your data, and govern your data. These are the three important things here. First thing, that you know your data, and that you understand your data landscape and identify important data across on-premises, cloud, and hybrid environments. You protect your data, so apply flexible protection actions, including encryption, access restrictions, and visual marking. Prevent data loss, detect risky behaviors, prevent accidental oversharing of sensitive information. Govern your data, automatically keep, delete, and store data and records in the compliant manner. Data classification capabilities of compliance portal: sensitive information types that you can uh, you know secure, you can classify, and then you can label that information that it is sensitive. Trainable classifiers, pertained classifiers, and custom trainable classifiers we have. Understand and explore the data. The content explorer, gain visibility into the content that has been summarized in the overview pane. The activity explorer monitors monitor what's being done with labeled content across the organization. Sensitivity labeling and policies, we can label this data. So sensitivity labels: customizable, clear text, and persistent. Label policies, we have: choose the users and groups to whom you want to apply or to see the labels. Apply a default label to all new emails and documents. Require justifications for label changes. Why are you changing it? Require users to apply a label. Link users to custom help pages. Data loss prevention, that data loss prevention is a technology that is designed to prevent sensitive data from being exfiltrated or shared inappropriately. DLP solutions can be implemented at the network, endpoint, or application level to monitor and control the data's movement. Retention labels and the policies are essential components of a comprehensive data governance and compliance strategy. They help organizations manage the life cycle of their data, ensuring that it is retained for appropriate period and disposed of securely when no longer required. Record management is a systematic control of records throughout their life cycle for creation or disposal. Microsoft Purview Insider Risk Management is a cloud based solution that helps organizations identify and mitigate the insider threats like data theft, misuse, or sabotage by employees or contractors. It is an advanced analytics and machine learning feature to detect anomalous user behavior and potential insider threats. Suppose your some employees have been terminated, or they are moving from the organization, then they might delete some important data or copy some data. So such insider risks can be there from demotivated employees or the employees that have been terminated. Microsoft Purview Communication. This feature, Microsoft Purview Communication Compliance, basically, uh, is a cloud based solution that helps organizations monitor and manage their communication data like emails, chats, and the calls. It provides the tools actually for data classification, retention, e-discovery. What is e-discovery? Actually, this e-discovery in Microsoft Purview is a cloud-based solution that enables organizations to search, collect, and preserve the data for legal or compliance purpose. Microsoft Purview Audit is a comprehensive solution that helps organizations monitor and audit their cloud environments for security, compliance, and governance purposes. It provides detailed insight into the user's activities, resource usage, and security events, enabling organizations to identify and address the potential risks. We have audit standard and audit premium. Thanks for watching this video and completing this SC-900 course. As I mentioned earlier that I have kept this course short in a fast track manner to discuss the overall content of this course precisely. If you want to learn anything that is relevant to your project or for your requirement, or you are keen to learn about that, then I have placed those links of those detailed videos about all these topics of this SC-900 into the description of this video. So do watch those videos and prepare yourself for this certification. Soon I will be coming with the exam prep session for the SC-900 so that you can pass your exam in the first attempt. So do watch the videos for more details of each and every topic. I hope this tutorial was informative to you. Thanks for watching. Do subscribe my channel and share my videos with others that may help others to learn about the Microsoft technology stack. Thank you.